Number 5 on the list, we have Genesis 3. Some people might wonder why Genesis 3 is this low. The thing is, at this point, it gets extremely hard to rank each and every single tournament. Genesis 3 was a fantastic tournament. It was the first tournament for Melee that was still a grassroots event that still felt a little bit esport. Like, this movie theater that we had for top 8 was fantastic. The entire top 8 was amazing as well. So I'm not really sure. Like, I feel like so many tournaments here in the top 5, especially between like 3rd and 5th place, could be changed. But I don't know. I just feel like they're so close that I can't even really pinpoint why I put Genesis 3 as number 5. Like, it's clearly above the tournaments that is ranked below, but it's so close between like 3rd, 4th, and 5th place in a lot of ways. But at the very least, Genesis 3 was the tiebreaker between me and Mango in terms of Genesis wins. So for that reason alone, it's very high up there. Genesis also made a return after many years of not being around. It had like a 4.5-year break between Genesis 2 and Genesis 3. So a lot of people really wanted to see that rematch. And the atmosphere at Genesis 3 was absolutely fantastic. Great tournament for sure. People should go to Genesis 5 if you are not already booked. 4th place, my most recent win, Evo 2017. Evo 2017 meant a lot for me for various reasons. Partly, I lost Evo 2016 in the most heartbreaking loss I've ever had in Melee. So I had a lot of motivation going into Evo. I wanted to, get my rematch from Evo 2016. I never actually got to fight HBox. I don't feel too bad about it, to be honest. I wanted to fight at least one of Mango and HBox, and I got to fight Mango twice. And me and Mango, like, we both have great legacies, but one thing he did have over me was 2 Evo titles compared to 1 Evo title for me. So tying up with him in Evo titles felt really good. And just Melee being at Evo is always an honor. I know a lot of people talk like, oh, like the best of 3 sucks. Yes, I am not a fan of best of 3 myself. I think everyone knows that at this point. But Evo, it's still an incredibly important tournament, not only for Melee, but for any fighting game out there. So even though like some of the rule sets people do not agree with, it's still a huge honor to be there. And it has such an historical impact for fighting games, period. And the thing also with Evo 2017, I feel like it was a very hard bracket for me personally. I got to play against a lot of players that I knew would be like extra tough for me because of like matchups or player styles or play styles. So the fact that I managed to overcome all of that and winning the tournament through winners, that also adds like a little bit extra to it. 3rd place, Genesis 4. One of the reasons I put this one over Genesis 3 is probably partly because of the fact that it was the first 3-peat for a super major. After a 3-peat at Summit, a lot of people were very negative. They were like, oh, this shouldn't count, that's not a super major, blah blah blah. Like, I was like, alright, I'll embrace the hate, I'll take it in, and then, you know, take all my power and win the 3-peat in Genesis instead. So I feel like a lot of this hate and negative comments, I just took it all in and put something else like really good out of it. It was like the hate basically motivated me even more to win Genesis 4. And another reason why it was more memorable for me to win Genesis 4 over Genesis 3 is also the fact that Android and Yolas and my girlfriend was there as well, and it always feels a bit more special when you can share these amazing moments with the people you care about the most. So yeah, three-peat, and then two of my siblings and my girlfriend there added to it all, and the fact that it was the first three-peat for a super major. So that's clearly one of my favorite moments and favorite tournament wins in my long and lovely Smash career. And the thing is also, yeah, winning teams at Genesis 4 as well. I know it's not singles, but just the entire day at Genesis 4 final day was just so amazing. Second place, we do have Evo 2015. Evo 2015. That's a game changer for sure. So, as we talked about earlier with Apex 2013, that was my last super major win before I decided to retire. I was gone for roughly a year. I came back, and even though I managed to win some tournament in the process, like CEO 2014, for example, I never really managed to win a super major. I got second at MLG, I got third at Evo 2014, among other tournaments. Second at Apex 2015, but I never managed to win a super major again. And yes, early on, or like especially in 2014, like the early super majors, yes, my skill probably wasn't good enough. I was also going through some personal issues at the time that distracted me a lot from like perform to the best of my abilities. But I felt like it was not only the fact that my skill was not really back to where it once were. It was a huge mental burden because for every time I lost, it was one more loss added to my resume. A lot of people were very skeptical about me ever being able to win a super major again, which maybe sounds weird for some people that are new to Smash now. But if you were a fan of me in 2014, it was a rough time, and kind of early during 2015 and stuff as well. I won some tournaments early 2015, but it was still not the super majors. So I didn't really show up when it mattered the most. And the thing is also, I was 2 Evo titles behind Mango, so I wanted to like start building up Evo wins to one day tie it up. So yeah, Evo 2015, once I won that tournament, it was like this mental issue I had. It was just gone. When I won Evo, it was like all the confidence was back. I didn't play afraid. I didn't play afraid of losing. I played more to win, which is a very important mindset in competition. If you're afraid of losing or if you're hungry for winning, that's two different worlds. Some people might be like, oh, but they mean the same thing, right? Not really. If you're having goals as a person, you should have a goal for where you want to go, not from where you want to avoid. So, yeah, winning Evo 2015, it changed a lot of my perspectives. And as I said, the mental burden was gone, and I felt so much better. I felt so much more confident as a player. So that's a really, really important win for me in my career. Number one, a lot of people probably not surprised at all. But Genesis 2 is making it up there as my most important. Oh wait, it makes it to my most important tournament victory ever. And this tournament was very, very special. Partly it was my first super major win, period. But also the history leading up to Genesis 2 is pretty interesting, because I lost Genesis 1 to Mango in Grants, I lost Apex 2010 to HBox in Grants, and then I lost to PP&D in Grants at Pound 5. So it's not only that I placed second 3 times, I also placed second to 3 different Smashers at 3 different Super Majors. So I was kind of like the biggest choker of the top smashers. And the thing against Mango and PP, I also went into the grand finals from winner's side, and I was up 2-1 in the first set. But my mental game overall was not as strong, I would say. Both against Mango and PP, when I was up 2-1, I kind of had the mentality, one more to go, like, I kind of let my guard down, and then once they were striking with, like, a really good read or a really good moment, then it was like I started to doubt myself as well. And also partly playing as Mango at Genesis 1, it was just like such a huge difference for me. Like the crowds in Europe were never like that into it. So playing in front of like what felt like a fucking football stadium at the time, these kind of things also like was a huge challenge for me to overcome. And the funny thing with Genesis 2 as well is that I beat PP in quarters, I beat HBox in winter semis, and I beat Mango in grand finals. And that's the reverse order of how I lost to them. So I lost to Mango, HBox, PP in that order, and at Genesis 2 I took revenge backwards, like PP, HBox, Mango. So it's not only the fact that I overcame this challenge of not choking in grand finals, I also beat all my demons along the way. And another thing also, like the Pound 5 scandal, and no money was paid out for the winners because of this scandal with the hotel. So no one was paid. And at the time, I was 18, and basically all the money I had at the time was from tournament winnings. So when I didn't get paid from Pound 5, I basically were in, at the time being, huge financial problems. And my grandparents were not very positive about me going back to the US again. Like, what if this happens again? And the prize pool, basically, it was very close that the prize pool for Genesis 2 got stolen as well. But the thing is, going into Genesis 2, I knew that I pretty much had to win. If I don't win, I will still be kind of fucked up with money for a long time. I'm not sure when, or even if, I'm really going to be able to travel back. And if the prize pool from Genesis 2 actually was entirely stolen, that actually could have been it for me. So it's like, it's so many factors that adds to all of this as well. So even though Pound 5, it was like very, very bad for me in many ways, it added even more pressure to me that I basically had to win. I was basically fighting for my own survival as a smasher, and literally I had all the odds against me. Everything was stacked against me, and I still managed to overcome all of it. And if you're a super experienced player and that's like your 5th or 6th super major win, and you overcome all the odds to win the tournament, it's still very impressive. But to do that at your very first super major win, I think it made for a perfect story. And even if I could go back in time and change it, I would not change the fact that I lost Genesis 1, Apex 2010, or Pound 5, because it made the Genesis 2 victory so much better. Like, I remember after Pound 5, I was actually really discouraged about Melee. I felt like so bad about throwing away tournament after tournament. And my GameCube even broke around the time, and I didn't even care. I didn't practice Melee for quite a while after Pound 5. And I remember going back to high school again, because I was still in high school at the time. And I saw this quote hanging on the wall. A quote that I actually saw after Genesis 1, because I started high school right after Genesis 1. And I didn't see this quote for a long time. But then when I came back to school after Pound 5, I saw this quote of, it was basically, maybe not word for word, but it basically is something along these lines. If you refuse to accept anything but the best, you very often get it. And once I saw that quote, like a few weeks or something like that after Pound, when I saw that quote, it reminded me of my feeling coming back to school after Genesis 1. And it reminded me of how much struggle I had been having to overcome, and how close I was to my goal of becoming the best smasher in the world, and that I would never ever forgive myself if I gave up. So the same day, I actually bought a new GameCube and started practicing for Genesis 2. And yeah, Genesis 2, for me, very obviously makes number one on this list.